All right, is my hair okay? It never is. Oh my gosh. 1 second, guys. Whew. Okay, composing myself. Hey everybody, and welcome back, or welcome if you are new. And if you are new, I am so sorry that we are meeting under these circumstances, but yeah, I honestly don't know how to start this video beyond the fact that I was gonna film this earlier on, but in order to avoid having a full-fledged Gabby Hanna meltdown online in front of everyone, I thought that I would just, give myself a few days to emotionally sober up and hopefully make light of a fucking shitty situation, okay? I'm not saying that I'm not taking this seriously, I'm just saying that humor is kind of how I cope with fucking shit in my life. And it is fucking shit, okay? I'm sure you would have noticed that I moved to Sydney, Australia, okay? And I've been sharing this on my Instagram, I've been sharing this on my YouTube videos, including footage and vlogs. Some vlogs I haven't even posted yet because I've literally had no fucking time, and I'm going to get into that, okay? So the last video I posted was about a month ago, and that was my worst books of 2022. And since then, I haven't posted, okay? So this video is basically gonna be a catch-up life update, and then towards the end, I'm gonna get into some recent reads. So if you're curious to know about where I've been and would like to sit through a full-fledged trauma dump, then keep watching, or if not, I'm gonna leave a timestamp down below. You can see what I've been reading recently, and then bounce, okay? So because of some circumstances, my family and I moved to Australia for 4 months as like a trial run to see if we could potentially live here. And the idea of living here is something that I have, gotten really excited about because, wow, it's a beautiful country, it's a first world country, the opportunity, the career growth, the things I can do with my life here that I wasn't able to do back in Asia, okay? So to give you the full weight of this story, I'm gonna take you back to 2019. So I graduated college in August, took a break, and then applied for jobs, got my first job in December, and started working professionally in January. At this point, my life was great, okay? I had my friends, I had my hobbies, I had a job, I had a degree, and things were finally, my life was finally gonna fucking start, right? I had my job, I had a side hustle, all the work that I'd put into graduating high school, getting my extracurriculars done, working my ass off through college so I could have a transcript that I'm proud of, and I do have a transcript that I'm proud of. All this stuff is finally fucking paying off, and then the pandemic happened, okay? 2020 happened, and the job that I searched high and low for was gone after 3 months. I don't blame them. This was happening to everyone, frankly, because of the, pandemic. But what really sucked and what was really hard was finding a job during the pandemic, because everyone demanded online work so they could lock down, but the supply of online work and the supply of getting into a company that would give you online work was hard, okay? So what I did was I was resilient, I turned to freelance, and 2020 was probably the worst year of my fucking life, okay? Dreams and future were suspended indefinitely. The 2-week lockdown in the country I was in lasted 2 fucking years. It's not a very developed country, it's not a first world country, and people just didn't have a place to lock down. So the virus spread like wildfire, which made things just really hard for a really fucking long time. So the places I would go to for my mental health, like the cinema, the beach, the mall with my friends, gone. And it wasn't all bad because in that year I started this channel. And since then it's been like therapy to me, just yelling into a camera about books and finding people who read the same books as me. I didn't have that before this channel, and now I fucking do. Especially doing sprints and seeing people actually show up and, be there throughout the whole sprint, that is crazy. It makes me feel so happy and so grateful that I did this to begin with, because at the end of the day, y'all are amazing. So 2021 was more or less the same. It was very emotionally draining, being locked down, seeing family members die and not being able to be there for them when, shit was going down. But 2022, I would say, was probably the best year of my life, okay? I'm not saying this because I won the lottery or ended up in a relationship with Chris Hemsworth or anything. This was the year that the world finally started to open up. And I embraced every single thing about that year with wide open arms. Friends coming over almost every weekend, going out of town, going to the beach, finally watching a movie in a cinema after 2 fucking years. And ironically, the people who I saw that movie with were the people who I saw my very last cinema movie with. It was just such a beautiful, you know, full circle moment, and it just meant everything to me. But despite that, there was still that lack of fulfillment and personal growth, and that can be summed up in one word: opportunity. I had such a hard time finding a job in that country because I went to an international school, so I don't speak the language, and having someone who only speaks English, like, there are jobs for that, like, you know, certain teachers, etc., but not ones that my degree qualified me for, okay? I took a media marketing degree, and the marketing industry there and the way they go about commercials is very specific to the culture and the language, and that's just not something that I was able to immerse myself in going to an international school, which is totally fine. I mean, there are things I could have done, should have done, didn't do. That's fine. Honestly, in most countries, the best way to find opportunity is nepotism, and I didn't have that there. Still don't have that here. But there was some promise, okay? This is a first world country, opportunity, people live good here, at least I thought. So because of this, my family thought of going to Australia as a trial run to see if we could live there, work there, you know, start our lives there. And I know that I've been posting beach pics and making my life seem that it was all fun and shit, but this trip has been an absolute disaster. It's been the most soul-destroying, mentally draining, meltdown-causing, literally, time in my life. I've had panic attacks, I've had anxiety attacks, but on this trip, I had like my first full-on meltdown. Now, I don't want to make this seem like a, you know, pity party where I'm just like, you know, depressed and crying over everything. I do want to express gratitude that I was really taken out of my comfort zone, from learning to travel, to learning to meet new people, to being in a workplace where it was like mostly men, and I'm not one of the bros, dude. So having to adjust to that, and having to navigate travel in a new country, and being able to do it for the most part, just you wait. This story just gets worse and worse, okay? I was able to, you know, rise to the challenge, but I failed. So before coming here, I made one thing clear, and that was I do not want to go to school, okay? I finished my degree, I got my degree, I have a bachelor's degree, and college was really bad for my mental health. It was horrible, really bad, like waking up with cold sweats level traumatizing. Like, I am grateful for my friends that I made, long-lasting connections, but it put me in an awful, terrible headspace. And the last thing I want to do is go through that all over again, you know, getting a postgrad, a master's, whatever, and incur a massive amount of debt in a foreign country that I can't even sustain myself now in, right? And another thing is I already, as I said, have a media marketing degree. So I was like, you know what, when I get here, I want to fucking work. And when I got here, looking through tons of job listings, applying for tons of jobs, the common requirement wasn't getting a higher education, okay? The common requirement was related experience. So it was a no-brainer for me. It was super clear-cut. It was like, I need to find a job that will give me work experience so I can take that experience and apply it to something that will, you know, be good for me, lucrative, good for my life, etc. Now, finding a job to support myself in Sydney, Australia was so fucking hard. Now, hear me out. This is where I make the case of TikTok being a far more reliable news source than the fucking mainstream media. A prevailing narrative I saw from the mainstream corporate press, which I don't really watch too much. It's super depressing, and it just like, no matter if I agree with what they're saying, it's just like all bad news, okay? Mainstream corporate news is media made by boomers for boomers, okay? They do not know what the fuck is going on with millennials, with Gen Z. Like, they're so fucking out of touch with the struggles of today's youth. The mainstream media narrative is that millennials are lazy. Like, millennials don't want to work, they just want government handouts because we're a bunch of libbed out socialists that want to, you know, just masturbate to Karl Marx all day and want everything for free and have everything be a government handout so we can be influencers. Fuck off. I've also been seeing this narrative, and I don't know if this is just Australian news or if the US is like this too, but there's this common narrative that there is an employee shortage because of the panini, okay? Because we're all just lazy, entitled brats who don't want to fucking work. Here's the reality. Are there tons of jobs? Yes. But No one is hiring. They want you to be 20 years old with 30 years of experience. And I don't even need to explain how finding a job as an immigrant is significantly harder. So for almost 2 months, I applied and went to interview after interview, ghosted, rejected, shunned. Now here's the thing, okay? If you want to have like, you know, a decent job after graduation, you need to be 20 years old with 30 years of experience, okay? But if you want a job like at a Woolies, like a grocery store or a Kohl's, etc., apparently, and I have spoken to people here about this, you need to have like no experience so they know that you won't be able to escape them, that they're your only last chance, and that they can treat you like a slave, essentially. That they can do anything they want, make you work insane hours because you will literally have no prospects lined up for you, okay? So that's the fucking tragedy of the situation. Now, all of this was so hopeless until I finally got a job at the end of December. So, paperwork done, job found. Finally, there was a glimmer of hope. Finally, after all this time, I'm getting my life together. I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, now I need to find a place. My family is here, but I can't move out with no money, pay rent, etc. Like, I needed to get the money, then find a place. Now, when I got here in November, the opportunity of a living situation that I could stay in temporarily whilst I found my own place was made available to me. But because this is my life and everything has to eventually go to shit, that living situation fell through in the last minute. Do the math with me. 4-month trial run, November, December, January, gone. That leaves us in February. I have a month to find a place in the midst of a rental crisis. How's that been going, you might ask? Okay, go on TikTok, search Sydney rental crisis, and die inside. Basically, the price of rent here is ridiculous. For the amount that people are getting paid in terms of wages, the amount that people will have to pay to live here, almost every single place that is affordable, and by affordable I mean so expensive, but like you'll make it just by, you'll have just a little bit amount of savings if you live there. In the city is usually old buildings and shitholes where none of the appliances work, everything is disgusting, it is dirty, it is grimy, and the competition for these places is insane. And they require you to have such a fucking long lease, and it's just fucked up. I looked at this place over at King's Cross, which is pretty near where I live, a couple of train stops away. The entire house was the size of this bedroom, with 1 bathroom, no dishwasher, no clothes washer, nowhere to hang my clothes, and it was like $350 fucking a week. So the next thing was look for a place outside of the city, but it's gonna be like a 45-minute ride on the train, and that's minus having to take a bus, that's minus walking. It's literally 45 minutes on the train in a likely dodgy location. But I was like, you know what? Sacrifices must be made. So that's what I did. So context, I work this grueling 9-to-5 job. And after work, when I just want to go home and sleep and cry and just like de-stress after a fucking stressful day, apartment hunting. Like right after work, I need to go do inspection after inspection after inspection, getting home at like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. And at that point, all you can do is eat and sleep and pray that the stress of the day has somewhat subsided and that you don't take it to bed with you, have a marching band in your head, and get fucking insomnia and be tired only to repeat the same thing the fucking next day. 0 time to de-stress, only to wake up and have to do the 9-to-5 all over again. And it has to be done, otherwise I will literally have to be sleeping in a tent outside of my office. So it's just been endless inspections and meetings, and everyone I've communicated with is ghosting me, and whenever I do get a response, it is a, this room was already paid for, even like the second we put the listing out. And I actually spoke with my cousin, and she was like, that's normal. Sydney is in the worst rental crisis in the country's history, and everyone is literally feral. Like, they will literally stay in a place that's an hour away or a shithole in the city that's super expensive just to have fucking housing and not be homeless. Now, you might be asking, how's the job going? I don't have a single bad thing to say about the company. The people are nice, the office is nice, and the location is very good. It's very near the train station. The problem is me. Okay, this is a business-to-business corporate sales job, and if you've seen The Wolf of Wall Street, you will know that that is cold calling all day, having to hard sell a product to someone on the phone who wants nothing to fucking do with you. It's when you make 120 calls a day, get rejected, verbally berated, and hopefully find one person who is semi-interested in the product enough for you to at least convince them to take a free meeting. Getting someone to sit for a free meeting is like nailing Jello to a wall. Now, I'm really glad that I waited to film this video today because today there was actually a recent development in the story. I suck at this job so much. This is how much I suck at this job, okay? With all the people who started with me, I am the only one that hasn't had a booking. And then a few weeks passed and they had another whole group of candidates come in and they were all able to get bookings before me, okay? That is how horrible I am at this job. I wouldn't hire myself to sell something, okay? And this is coming from someone who is a huge, massive fucking introvert who avoids social situations at all costs. Like, I don't know how to read people. I am a very poor judge of character. I am allergic to confrontation, so when someone starts objecting to me saying, I'm not interested, like, I'm not the kind of person who has that instinct to immediately, you know what to say to get them on the call longer, okay? Today, I had a formal meeting with the trainer, and they said that if I don't book a meeting this week, they have to let me go. So everything is just like actual shit right now. So either a miracle happens, and I finally figure it out. I finally find a prospect willing to take a fucking free meeting from me. I know that I could potentially, this week pull something out. Maybe I'll get it, maybe it'll click, maybe I'll finally meet the required thing, but I'm not stupid. I knew very early on, despite the fact that I've never done this before, that this was gonna be a huge challenge for me. And I was right. Now, I'm not gonna beat myself up because I did rise to the challenge, and during the meeting, the people who had the meeting with me were actually very nice. They were like, we see how hard you're trying, we see all the effort you're putting in. Like, I make the same amount of dials as everyone else, I have a decent activity time, and the reason that I haven't been doing YouTube is because my main interest is books. The reason I haven't been doing YouTube is because I have been committing everything to this job. I've been listening to podcasts, looking at online tutorials, trying to find anything that could really help me out, but ultimately it's just not been working, and it sucks. It breaks my heart. You have the mental stress of the housing crisis, you have the mental stress of the job, and the fact that I have really bad anxiety and depression, which I don't talk about. I've alluded to this in the past, but it's not something that I, have made my brand or anything. I mean, my closest friends know that this is something I deal with. Hi, Meg. It's not something that I don't like being pitied. I don't like putting such raw emotion out there, and if I had filmed this days earlier, I would be putting raw emotion out there. I'd be crying. I cry like so much, and I'm not a crier. And I've just been like crying like every night before going to sleep, having panic attacks, just so stressed and so depressed at how everything is turning out. I feel like I'm a fucking burden, wasting everyone's money. And yeah, I'm in just such a low point where I need access to mental health professionals just to help me get through this. Mental health care and healthcare in general is hard to get. We may live in collectively wealthy countries, but access to things like jobs and healthcare is a fucking joke. And another thing that sucks is that a while ago today was very promising, okay? I got a text message this morning that one of the people that I viewed the house of was actually willing to rent me the room. And I was like, finally, okay, I have got a place to live, I'm making money, I can live there, pay them off, it'll be fine. Immediately after that, when I got back into the office, I was told that they were gonna have to let me go if I didn't, start churning out the numbers, which I will try. I will try my best, but I don't think it's gonna happen. No matter how much you train someone, there needs to be like a certain type of personality and fit for this kind of job that I just don't think I have. I mean, I'm not giving up. I will continue to go to work this week and try my best, but I've already started looking at new jobs and hopefully book some interviews for the following week because I only have weeks left of probation. There have been times where when you call someone up and ask them questions, they give you I was talking to this guy on the phone the other day who told me about how his entire business was wiped out because of a massive flood, and I was expected to sell him something. The company is great, it's very well reviewed. I don't have a single bad thing to say about the company. As I said, the trainers were lovely, the people were nice, but at the end of the day, a business is not a charity, okay? If I am costing this establishment money, if I'm costing them money and taking the seat of someone who would be a way better fit for the job and who could make this company money and justify the really decent pay, then obviously I, can't complain that they're letting me go. It's just, I understand it, I get it, it hurts, but I can't blame anyone but myself. It's really nice to think about the fact that they did initially see something in me when I saw nothing in myself, and that there is some hope outside of this company that I can hopefully take these transferable skills and everything I learned to apply to something else that will hopefully serve me elsewhere. But yeah, it's like, guys, I'm fucking scared. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But anyway, that was the trauma dump. Let's get into some recent reads, shall we? Yeah, real quick, I started reading the new Bret Easton Ellis. Obviously, I'm not done with the book. Do I look like I had time to fucking read? No. So, I'm only 200 pages in, and I will do my best to have a vlog on this at some point, but not in this current state of life that I'm in. Also, I did read Children on the Hill by Jennifer McMahon. This book was very, very good. I gave this book 5 stars. And yeah, you know what? We're gonna end this video on a positive note. I'm gonna highlight some books that I gave 5 stars to. Jennifer McMahon's Children on the Hill. This book was so fucking amazing. It's like a gothic horror thriller thing, and I liked The Winter People, but I didn't, like, you know, love it as much as I loved things that it was compared to, like Pet Sematary. But this I truly loved, okay? We follow these kids, they're being raised by their grandma, and then we cut to the future and see that they are adults and have certain trauma linked to their childhood. And we follow 2 separate things, okay? We follow the adult perspective, which is this woman who is now a monster hunter, and then we follow the kids who start to investigate this, like, place, this, I'm not gonna say what it is, this place that their grandma is raising them in. Their grandma is a doctor, and they realize that she's pretty sketchy, and the way these 2 stories interconnect, this is like a Riley Sager book that wasn't written by Riley Sager. Does that make sense? I don't know. What else did I read? Interesting question, 1 second. Another book I read that I thought that I was gonna hate, but actually really loved was I Know Who You Are by Alice Feeney. And I read this book because Ashley gave it 1 star. She said the twist was like one of the worst twists she's ever seen, and I was like, I need to know what's going on. And I actually really dug the book, okay? We follow this actress whose husband disappears one day, and he's like framing her for his murder, and this detective is on her case. And then we follow a point of view of her childhood and see just how messed up her childhood is. And these stories connect. It was so much fun. The mental health rep for people with anxiety, I felt so seen. It was so good. The twist at the end made me be like, Alice, what the fuck? Like, it was like the most what the actual fuck she actually went there twist that I've ever read. And honestly, I gave this book 5 stars because thrillers normally play in this like awkward safe zone where they want to be shocking, but they don't want to potentially, you know, offend anyone. Alice Feeney was like, all bets are off, fuck it. She took no prisoners with that twist. I just love her for that. Another book that I really enjoyed was Summer Never Ends by Judith Sonnet, which is about these kids who go to church camp, and as someone who has gone to church camp and has some trauma, religious trauma about that, I felt super seen. She says that this book is kind of like a Jack Ketchum book, and I do agree. Having read Off Season and The Girl Next Door, what Jack Ketchum does is he lulls you into this like false sense of comfort. So with Off Season, it was this vacation that these people were going on. And then with The Girl Next Door, it was like this depiction, this dreamlike depiction of a suburban childhood, very nostalgic, you know, children playing by the creek, looking for crayfish, developing friendships, and then it turns into the Sylvia Likens story, okay? So this book does the same thing. It shows like a very beautiful, serene campsite. It lulls you in with this sense of like, wow, nostalgia. Despite the, you know, the church camp, like these people do form friendships with like-minded people, and then it all goes to shit, just like my life. I feel like my life is a fucking Jack Ketchum novel. Coming to Australia, oh my god, this place is beautiful, it's sunny, there's so much opportunity. Living here for 3 months, like, a fucking nightmare. I am currently living in a Jack Ketchum book, and this book, I'm honestly, I mean, I gave it 5 stars, but the fact that it spiritually mirrors my journey in life makes me want to give it 6 stars. So thanks for that, Judith. Also, the gore was amazing, the kills were fucking gnarly. Great stuff. And then I was also reading this, I haven't finished it yet because life, but around December I started reading this manga with Gabby over at Gabby Reads called Orange, which is basically like this sci-fi romance. I don't want to give away what the story is, but we follow this girl who gets infatuated with this guy, and she realizes that she needs to do certain things to prevent the guy from doing a certain thing. We don't know what the certain thing is, but then we see just such a beautiful depiction of friendship and people genuinely caring for each other. And this manga series genuinely subverts so many tropes. Like, there's a love triangle where you would think that it was like one guy would resent her for wanting the other guy, but in the love triangle, the one guy who would do the resenting is so like compassionate and genuinely wants the best for the other couple, which makes you kind of root for him. And it's like, I don't know what to do. Like, I love these characters like they are my own children. Oh my gosh, so fucking good. But yeah, I actually vlogged a couple of these books, so I'm just not gonna get into them. Yeah, so I do have a couple of videos. I do have a couple of videos just sitting on my laptop that I need to edit. One of them is a John Athan reading vlog where I read The Abuse of Ashley Collins, Into the Wolf's Den, Erotomaniac, and Mr. Snuff. And then the other one is a video that I did, which is an extreme horror video. I'm not going to spoil what I read there, but I did really like the books that I read, and I will hopefully edit this video soon. If I lose the job, I will have a lot of time to edit the video, so you will see it. But those are some current reads. That was my trauma dump. If you made it this far, leave a hug emoji, because I need hugs. Do send some hugs, do send me some good luck, do send me some advice if you have any, if you've been in this situation. If you have gone through anything similar, feel free to share your story down below. No pressure, of course. Like, if you don't want to do it, it's totally fine. Just to show other people that, you know, people who are struggling now are not alone, and we can all be here together in this community, and hopefully do some reading sprints soon. But yeah, hopefully I don't know, look back at this video a year from now and am in a better place and have things more figured out, because right now my life is like actually shit. It is just so hard waking up in the morning, knowing what I have to face, knowing what I have to deal with, just the insane amount of pressure on me, and just how hard it is. Like, a first world country, like, I am an Australian citizen who's willing to work, who is willing to put the effort in, who is willing to travel, and the fact that it's this hard is just a slap in the face. I don't know what I'm gonna apply to next. I don't know what it's gonna be. I don't know if it's gonna support me here, and if I'll even be able to pay rent in the new beautiful place that I was just so happy to get. I wish I could end this video on a positive note, but it's just a fucking disaster now. But I will say that I love you all, and thank you for all the support, and I haven't posted a video this vulnerable ever, but I feel like I owe it to you, because I read the comment section, I respond to as many as I can, and I see that some people have literally been here since 2020, and the fact that I've just been, you know, posting all the good stuff and not the bad stuff is kind of a disservice. Like, I do want this vlog to resemble me in everything I've gone through, and be like an archive of my life, so when I do look back, I know that, like, okay, I was able to overcome this. And I hope I am, because, oh boy, I'm fucking scared, you guys. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I will do my best to have those 2 vlogs up, hopefully soon, okay? Hopefully not sooner than later, because I actually do want to keep this job, and if I'm gonna go back to the fucking job hunt, like, it's probably gonna be super time consuming. But yeah, all in all, thank you so much for listening. I hope to see you in future videos, and as always, take care. I lose myself